right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started so we can start on time and finish on time. I want to thank you all for joining me today. And I do want to apologize in advance if there's a little background noise. There is a snowstorm in New Jersey today, and I have a full house. So hopefully everybody will be quiet. But I do apologize if the dog starts to chime in or something like that. So anyway, so let's get started. So welcome to From Corporate Leader to Impactful Changemaker. I'm Kirsten Bunch, and today we are going to talk about transitioning from a corporate career to a life creating social impact and change. I work with professional women who have reached a point in their career where they are feeling pulled to make a difference in their communities and want to go beyond simply donating money or volunteering, but aren't sure what to do or how to get started. Through my one-of-a-kind Changemaker mentorship, I help women who have ideas for how to create change in the world turn their ideas into action and impact. My goal is to help you help as many people as possible, to give you the tools and support that you need to step up to become a change maker. All right, let's get started. My promise to you is that what you learn today will help you start creating life-changing transformation in your community and in yourself. I know it's a big promise, but I've seen what can happen when women and men step up to make change in the world. And let's face it, our communities need us to do this. Maybe you've already left your corporate job or your job in academia or government, or maybe you've recently sold your successful business, or maybe you're thinking about it, wondering what life would look like on the other side of the corner office or the cubicle. A lot of my clients, when I first talk to them, tell me that they're worried about what identity they'll attach to their name once CEO, CFO, director, manager, executive assistant, or professor is no longer there. And you're feeling a pull to give back. You want your next act to have personal meaning. You want to make a difference. Maybe it's a simple question in your mind, what would it look like to shift gears to work that I'm more passionate about, that helps people, animals, and the environment? Or maybe you've been quietly building out your world-changing idea in your spare time and you are ready to run with it. If only you knew what shoes to wear and what road to follow. Not sure what you want? Don't worry about it. That's fine. You don't have to figure it out. I'm not going to ask you to figure that out in the next 15 minutes or so. Just extract the value of this webinar. I'm going to give you a lot to think about and give you some concrete steps to guide you towards more clarity. So I'm going to ask you to please pay attention and focus. I give a ton of value. So you want to take this seriously because it can really help you make powerful change in your life and in your community. And we need you to do that, right? So I'm asking you to step up, if only for the next 50 minutes or so. And I know it's hard, but if you're serious about becoming a change maker, turn off your phone, turn off Facebook. I get it. I know that's hard. I'm on both of those things all day long. But get as much out of this as you can, because I'm really serious about making change. I just got off the phone with a client and she told me that, she was a little doubtful as to whether she wanted to move forward with her idea. But she told me that even though she was skeptical before our call and she was skeptical that she was ready to move forward or, that I could really help her move her community changing idea forward, because honestly, she was really stuck. But in 90 minutes, she told me in 90 minutes, I helped her move further than she had moved in months. What if I were to tell you that quitting your job to give back is not going to have the impact you want it to have? Okay, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Wait, what? But I want to help people. I want to make a difference. Is she saying that I'm not going to help anyone? Why am I in this webinar then? Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I know you can do more to make even more change in your community. I know that you can go beyond helping people. I know that you can change lives and even possibly change the way the game is played. And how many of you are here because you want to create even more change in the world? And how many of you are here because you've reached a point in your career, in your life, where you want to feel more personally fulfilled? And how many of you are here because you are ready to put skin in the game and do something that transforms lives? The good news is that you have what it takes to make your community and the world a place where we all want to live. You don't have to be an expert in a specific issue area. You don't have to have years under your belt working in a nonprofit or a foundation. All you need is the desire to do something and be willing to invest in yourself and your idea and to put action behind it. Tony Maloney is one of the ordinary, extraordinary change makers I feature in my upcoming book. She co-founded, excuse me, she co-founded the Business Council for Peace, or B-Peace, in 2002, the year after the 9/11 terrorist attacks in the U.S. In the 15 years since, B-Peace has helped expand more than 250 businesses in Afghanistan, Rwanda, Guatemala, and El Salvador. They currently have a portfolio of 50 businesses that generate about $81 million in revenue for their communities. And the employees of those businesses support approximately 14,000 family members. It's pretty crazy. A couple years ago, Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times said B-Peace is one impressive force for change. Can you imagine if you start today what Nicholas Kristof or someone like him could be saying about your work 5 to 10 years from now? When she started B-Peace, Tony didn't know what role business could play in peace building. Today, she knows the answer. Now, how many of you have an idea to create something powerful in your world, but you haven't acted on it because you think you don't have enough time, or you aren't sure how it will fit into your life, or you think it won't work, or you don't know exactly how to do it, or you want to make sure you have it all figured out before you get started? I get it. I've been there. I know how you feel. I love this quote. Don't let the fear of what could happen make nothing happen. The problem is that most people have great ideas, but they're too afraid to do anything with their idea. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of taking the wrong steps stops them. They procrastinate. They put their idea on hold, telling themselves that tomorrow or next week or next year will be the right time. What's the result? The problems in our communities get worse. Violence, inequality, lack of jobs in rural and urban areas, and depleted natural resources. And you continue to wonder what you could do if you could just figure out how to get started, how to fit it into your life. And you miss your chance to be the one who stood up and said, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something about this. And you miss your chance to create a life that is focused on helping others and making positive change. And listen, I get it. And I'm really not trying to make people feel bad. We live busy, busy lives, and let's face it, we need to make a living. Or, if you're in a position to not have to worry about earning a living because you've worked hard for decades and saved well, You might not want to jump into something that is going to feel like you're back in your corporate job or your academic job. So please forgive me. Again, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad, but it's just that I can see the potential of what can happen when you take an idea and take small steps to move it forward. And I know that you can move it forward in a way that fits into the reality of your life, dreams, and goals. I think you're here on this webinar for a reason, right? If you know there are these problems that you can play a part in fixing, if you are here because you have a great dream and you just need help moving it forward, whether you've already started your project or you haven't, that you have that idea floating around in your head, let's work together to move your idea, your project, to the place where you are seeing real transformative impact. Sarah Foster called me because she had this idea to help middle school age girls become interested in science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, right? But she was feeling stuck with her idea. She didn't know how to move forward. So she booked a strategy session with me and we dug in deep, and I'm talking deep, to get her unstuck. And the result, what happened? This is what she told me. I felt stuck. I was nervous about taking the next step to put my ideas into action. After working with Kirsten, I felt a major shift in my mindset. She helped me to visualize the effect this program will have on girls and how critical this work is. I feel more confident and better equipped to take STEM like a girl to the next level and start impacting girls. Listen, I'm not telling you this to toot my own horn, but to show you the power of getting help to move your idea forward. Listen, I don't care if you work with me or with someone else. What I care about is that you take your ideas, creativity, and power to make positive change in the world. That's what I'm about. So let's say you have an idea for how you can fix a problem in your community or the world, or at least move the needle on it. Even if you aren't sure whether you want to do something about it or not, that's okay. Here's what I want to ask yourself. If you implement that idea, do you think you could change someone's life? Even one person's life? A child, an animal, a woman who might find herself in need of some help at this point in her life? How many of you would like to do that? So what I want you to do is I want you to write this down. Procrastination is the enemy of change. And how many of you would like to make change happen? And so when does change happen? Does it happen a little bit later? Does it happen in 10 years? What if Martin Luther King Jr. would have said, change happens later? Later never comes. That's why I'm so excited you're here today, because I'm going to help you stop saying later, stop saying tomorrow, and start today. And you're here because you want to make change, right? All right, so what am I going to cover today? Number one is my system for fitting change making into your life, dreams, and goals. Number two, the second most important thing to decide when becoming a change maker. And number three, the one thing you shouldn't do in the beginning. Oh yeah, and I want you to get as much as you can out of this webinar. And I always tell people that I promise I'll give you a way to work with me to find your path forward if you're ready. And I'm going to give you some free tools to implement some of the things we talk about today. My Skill Shifter mini course will help you figure out what skills you want to use to give back. It's always a big question for people. And the answer actually might be something different than you think. I'm also going to give you my issue mapper, which helps you narrow in on the issue you want to focus on. And thirdly, 5 critical things you should do before starting a nonprofit. I can't tell you how many people come to me saying, "Hey, I registered a nonprofit. I've had it for about a year now. Now what? I don't know what to do with it." So definitely stick around until the end to get these tools. I spent 20 years raising more than $20 million for nonprofits and starting and managing social change programs. And let me tell you, I loved it. I loved building programs and finding money for them. I love traveling the world, meeting people that I would have probably never have met if it weren't for my job. And I was really proud of my work. And gosh, I had fun. I had so much fun. I couldn't have imagined a better job. But despite the fact that I was incredibly grateful to be able to do this work, I really wanted to do more. I left my role as a fundraiser 2 years ago because I found that not all of my clients were happy simply donating money. They also wanted to do more. And I wanted to help them create even greater transformation in their communities. And I had an idea to start a program where people would grow their ideas in a creative, supportive environment. But you know what I did? I sat on my idea because I was afraid to start. I didn't know what to do first. I didn't know what it was supposed to look like, and I felt restless and frustrated, and I seriously drove my wife crazy. Then, the morning of November 9th, 2016, the day after the US presidential elections, I turned to Facebook and saw everyone's posts, and they told me, they said, "What can I do? I want to do something. I don't know how to begin. I don't want to see my trans friend, my immigrant neighbors, the women in my life disregarded and disrespected. I want to do something, but what? How do I begin?" And I knew in that moment that I knew how to help you begin. I'd been starting social and environmental change programs for 20 years. I knew that if you were serious, if you were ready to step up and make change in your community and fight for whatever it is that you believe in, that I can help you figure out how to turn your idea, or maybe even just the desire to do something, into real change. And so I started. I sat down and mapped out my idea. And let me tell you, it's been really hard. I'm going to be real with you. I was filled with self-doubt, and I'll be honest with you, I still feel like that sometimes. But then I focus on the people I could help create change. The kids who need help, the communities who need healing and protection. Because I have a mission and a purpose, and I don't want anything to stop me. I'm not going to miss out on my chance to help you transform people's lives. So I kept building, and I got help. I got a mentor. I found a community to help me push my idea kicking and screaming into the light. And where am I 1 year later? Not only am I helping people turn their world-changing ideas into action and impact, I'm also showcasing how ordinary people are making extraordinary change through my interview series, Ordinary Extraordinary Changemakers. A lot can happen in a year, let me tell you. This is my friend Pavni. Pavni started Impact Lens Photography in 2016. Recognizing that people of color have long been stereotyped by mainstream media, Pavni's goal is to create positive imagery of communities of color. The photo project she started this year is specifically trying to defy stereotypes that white mainstream media has about Black men. You know what she told me? When we first talked in my interview with her, she told me I was actually inhibited for a long time because I was like, my photography isn't good enough. A lot of people are going to criticize my photography. Then I realized that it's not about the photography in and of itself. I'm just going to do it, and what's the worst that can happen? At least on my deathbed, I'll have checked it off my list. 1 year later, Pavni is already affecting change. Imagine where you'll be in a year if you start today. Who creates change? Is it the person who procrastinates? Is it the person who doesn't take action? Are those the people who create change? No. Do people who create change take risk? Yes. And do people who create change take action? Yes. Do people who create change always do it perfectly? No. Listen, it's not about perfection. I tell my clients that all the time. Do people who create change always make decisions and follow through? Yes, that's right, they do. And that's what we are here to do today. So I want you to write down on a piece of paper right now, what's the one decision you're going to make that's going to change someone's life? Listen, isn't it true if you don't do something now, the problems will only get worse? How many more kids have to commit suicide because they're bullied? How many more trans people have to live through hatred and discrimination before we turn things around? Do people who create change always know how to get started? Absolutely not. Pavni and Tony didn't know how to get started. They just started. Okay, so now let's get into the 3 ideas I'm going to share with you today that will help you move forward towards making change in your community. So, chapter 1, my system for fitting change making into your life, dreams, and goals. Ready? All right. So, the key part of this sentence is your life, dreams, and goals. I know it might sound strange to put yourself at the center of this plan. You showed up today because you want to know how you can have a life creating positive impact and change in your community and the world. But here's the thing. Do you think you also need to get something out of it? Although it sounds good, and many of us would like to believe it's true, often altruism is generally not a big enough motivator to keep most of us interested in change making over the long term. There has to be something in it for us. A lot of people get involved with charity because they want to help others, but they don't take the time to think about what they want to get out of it. I mean, we aren't supposed to think about ourselves, right? We are supposed to go selflessly into our volunteer work or donating money. All right, but what happens? Do you sometimes end up feeling unfulfilled? My dad is a great example. He loves volunteer, but he used to quickly become frustrated because he didn't take the time to think about what he needed, about what he wanted to get out of it. He finally figured it out, and now he walks dogs at the shelter. And he finds joy and comfort spending time with animals, and that's his thing. So I'm encouraging you to be self-centered, self-aware, because I know if you intentionally design a change-making initiative with you in mind, you are more likely to stick with it and make transformative change. One of the things I do with my clients is ask them to figure out their why. And I ask them to dig really deep, to be honest with themselves and putting aside others' expectations or societal norms around giving back. Figure out your why. Maybe it's connected to your career. You want a career change, or you want to add value to your current career. Maybe you want to create a legacy for your family, or just for you. Maybe you want to show your kids what can be done. Maybe you're looking for connection in your community. Maybe you're bored. That happens, right? Maybe you're looking for meaning in life, meaning that you haven't found, or you don't have, or you used to have and you don't feel it anymore. And also maybe you have a faith-based reason for wanting to give back and wanting to make change. So what's your why? Okay, so next I want you to figure out what tools you're going to use to make change, to give back. So you've left your job or you're seriously considering it or playing around with the idea. And you know you want your next act to be full of personal fulfillment, and you want to do something to give back and help others. But what's in your toolbox that you're going to use to make change? What skills do you want to use to give back? Notice I didn't say what skills are you good at. Of course, you do want design. You want to design your change-making future so that you leverage your skills. However, if you are good at something like bookkeeping, but you really, really, really are sick of bookkeeping, don't put it on your list of skills you want to use. Remember, you're creating here. You get to create what you want. If you love playing a sport and you want to help women who need to build confidence so they can reach greater successes in life, do you think you could combine those two things to create change? Absolutely. I've seen it done. Oh yeah, by the way, so my skill shifter mini course, which you'll get at the end, will give you will help you figure out what skills you can and want to use to create change. All right. So next up, number 3, what is your reality? What resources do you have available to you? What time do you have in your life? How do you take advantage of your unique situation to create a change-making initiative that fits your life, your reality? I want you to go into change making with intention, having thought about how it fits into your reality. A lot of people tell me they have a great idea for changing something in their community, but they don't want to quit their jobs. No one says that a change making project has to absorb all of your time and money. No one says that just because you're giving back doesn't mean you don't get paid. You get to create this. This is you, your project. This is you. You get to create. And let me tell you, creating is a beautiful thing. But by the way, one way or another, you have to invest in yourself and your ideas to make change happen. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is what role do you want change making to have in your life? In what way do you want to show up? Do you want a new career? Do you want a passion project? Or do you want to take a break without feeling completely lost and unfocused? I like to call these creativity breaks, by the way. All right, let's focus on a new career. So if you are thinking about a new impact focused career, you've got a couple of options. One, you can work for someone else. You can get a job in a nonprofit, foundation, or other social impact organization. A lot of people tell me that they don't think their skills will transfer. When I hired people for nonprofit staff positions back when I worked with organizations, I often hired people out of the corporate and academic sectors, especially if they made an informed effort to show me how their skills and knowledge transferred to the position. I welcome the new perspectives of people who were stepping freshly into the organization and into the sector. Okay, so working for somebody else is the second thing you can do is you can repurpose your skills to bring social impact work into your current or most recent sector. Giving back to the community is good for business, and more businesses are forming teams to head up community impact initiatives. I had a call with a woman the other day she wants to do something in her career, but she doesn't want to leave she's in an insurance agency, and she doesn't want to leave the people that she works with. She really likes the people she works with. So we came up with a plan for her to pitch a new division within the agency. It's a big agency of, creating community impact initiatives. And we talked about how giving back to the community as a business is actually really good for business. So she is, I think, next week pitching this idea to her bosses, and we're waiting to find out how that goes. All right. So if you don't want to work for somebody else, what else you can also start your own organization, a company, a foundation, or another initiative. I'm going to go over some of these options in a minute, because it's not just about starting a nonprofit. All right. Now, if you want to stay in your career, you want to focus on raising your kids, or you aren't looking for something that is going to take up all of your time, a passion project is a great option. Projects come in all shapes and sizes and can serve different purposes in your life. They can add a new purpose to your life and work. They're also like a really good way to learn something new. And they're a good way to dip your toe into an issue or cause before you know whether you want to jump in. I'm a big, big fan of passion projects. In fact, I have clients who come into my Changemaker mentorship, which is a project-based program, by the way, who do impact-focused passion projects. And these projects often can be the start of a bigger change-making initiative. Here's an example. Marquita Jennings, also known as Kita the Explorer, she is a travel adventure blogger, counselor, and environmentalist. And through her work, she raises awareness about environmental and conservation issues in the countries where she travels. And she teaches people back home, she teaches people how to be environmentally responsible tourists. This is her passion project. She's a full-time accountant. All right, so what if you just want to take a break? It can be so hard for us to admit to ourselves and to others that we are taking a break. We need to feel like we're contributing. We need to feel like we're doing something. How many of you who have already left your jobs have told yourself, okay, listen, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks or a month, and then I'm going to get to work to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm going to get inspired and know exactly how I'm going to give back. Does that sound familiar? I did that after I left my staff position. I spent a year getting up every day and turning on my computer to work, in quotes, to make myself figure out what I wanted to do. When what my mind, body, and soul really, really needed was some space and some rest. I know what you're thinking. Okay, so first she's telling me to become a change maker, and now she's telling me to take a break. Here's the thing. Resting your mind, body, and soul can lead to clarity and creativity, two of my favorite words. And your communities need you to be rejuvenated and creative so you can dig in and help solve our problems. If you are anything like me, you're a bit scared that you'll feel lost. You might be afraid you're going to get depressed or have an identity crisis. I get it. I went through all of those things. But no one is saying you can't have fun and explore while you're taking a break. Go to some seminars, conferences, and retreats on issues that you care about, or with new types of people you feel drawn toward. Get a mentor that will gently guide you during your break, so you don't feel completely untethered. I actually just brought on a new client today, in fact, who is going to work with me one-on-one to give her the break that she needs and allow her to be an explorer and find out more about the issues that she's interested in without feeling like she's just kind of off there floating on her own. She's sort of in the in between stage, and after a career in the corporate world, she gave herself the gift of time to rest her mind and spirit so she can see her next chapter more clearly, so that she can step into it with intention. And she wants to feel, like I said, she doesn't want to feel completely untethered. So we are going to meet a couple times a month and work to generate ideas in a creative way that is both fun and rejuvenating. And one thing that I tell her is, be open. Be open to the unexpected. You do not have to be an expert in anything right now. You can just enjoy finding out more about the things that you're interested in. All right. So let's review. What did we go over so far? So the four things that I want you to do. What is your motivation? Figure that out. What skills you want to use? What's your reality? And reality, I should mention, can be money, time, physical limitations. Maybe you are moving to Bali and you want to figure out how to give back while living in Bali. I mean, that sounds wonderful, actually, in the middle of a snowstorm in New Jersey, but there's an idea. And also, how do you want to show up? All right. So now let's talk about the second most important decision you need to make when becoming a change maker. By the way, can anyone guess what the first one is? Yeah, figure out your motivations, what you're bringing to the table, and how you show up. So the second thing to figure out is what's the impact you want to have in the world. Don't start with what house you are going to build. Start with the lives you're going to change. What is the change you want to see in your community? And by the way, community is however you define community. It could be your neighborhood, your street, or it could be the world. Spend some time on this. Get to know the issue you are focused on. Remember, to help someone with a problem, you need to first understand their problem. If you jump in to help without taking the time to understand the situation, your desired impact may very well fall short. This might seem obvious, but ask any emergency relief organization that receives tons of unusable donated goods by very well-intentioned people. Try to learn about the problem from all sides. What piece of the puzzle are you missing? What do you need to understand better? And whose voice are you not hearing? A few years ago, I met a woman, her name was Diane, in the lobby of a hotel in Guatemala City. She looked really sad. So I asked her, if there was something I could do to help. Diane looked at me. She kind of paused, and then she told me that she was embarrassed and sad, and she just wanted to go home to Florida. So I asked her, "So why? What happened?" And she told me that her church had heard about a young woman in a village in Guatemala that the church worked in, who had a disability and couldn't walk. Wanting to do something to help, Diane raised $400 from her friends at church to buy a wheelchair for the young woman. And she told me that the people who go to her church don't have a lot of money, and so it was a big deal for them to help someone they didn't even know. That day, during the mission trip to Guatemala, Diane proudly brought the wheelchair to the young woman's home, and the young woman smiled and thanked her. And then she said she couldn't use the chair. See, there are no paved roads in her village, and the path, which is common in Guatemala, and the path to her house wasn't passable in a wheelchair. Diane, she hadn't taken the time to understand what the young woman needed before she acted. She told me, not only did I look really insensitive in front of this young woman who I really wanted to help, but now I have to go back to my friends at church and tell them what happened. So do your research. Talk to as many people as you can from all sides of the issue. All right. So now I imagine that some of you are saying to yourself, okay, listen, I know what I want to get out of it. I've put thought in that already, and I sort of know the impact I want to have. Now I'm itching to run out and get started. And the first thing I have to do is register a nonprofit. This should not be your first step. Don't start a nonprofit right away. A lot of people call me because they've already paid an attorney to set up a 501c3 and now they have no idea what to do with it. Or they find out it's not the right structure to house what they want to do. Listen, a nonprofit is just a legal structure. There are many ways to give back without forming a nonprofit, especially in the beginning when you don't quite know what you're going to do yet. And setting up and maintaining a nonprofit costs money. So take your time before you commit the time and expense. All right, here's a little extra value I'm going to give you today. So here are a few options for putting structure around your idea besides a nonprofit or in addition to a nonprofit. Foundations. You could have an operating foundation which actually implements programs as well as funds them. Or you could have a simple grant making foundation, or not simple, it's actually a very powerful tool. A social enterprise uses commercial strategies to maximize improvements in human and environmental well-being. And that may include maximizing social impact alongside profits for external shareholders. And a social enterprise can be a nonprofit, it can be a for-profit, or it can be a hybrid. What about a fiscal sponsor? A fiscal sponsor is a formal arrangement in which another 501c3 public charity sponsors a project that may lack exempt status. And this is an alternative to starting your own nonprofit, and it allows you to seek grants and solicit donations, tax-deductible donations, under your sponsor's exempt status. You could also do an unincorporated initiative. No one says you have to have a formal structure in the beginning or ever, really. There are ways around this. And then there are B Corps, which are for-profit companies, and these are fairly new. They're for-profit companies certified by the nonprofit B Lab to meet rigorous standards of social and environmental performance, accountability, and transparency. And then finally, you could start a program within an existing organization, which would save you the effort and money and expense of setting up your own organization. When Terry Dankovich and her business partner started Folia Water to bring a paper-based water filter to the world, they spent the first couple of years, including time and money, starting a nonprofit. Then, an attorney helped them understand that a for-profit B Corporation would be a better option for them. Choosing the wrong option can cost you valuable time and money. And honestly, it can affect the impact you have. All right, so let's review what we've gone through so far. First, what is your motivation, skills, reality, and how do you want to show up? Secondly, what impact do you want to have in the world? And third, please don't start a nonprofit right away. Either talk to me or talk to somebody who has the experience of starting a nonprofit and see what they have to say. And I love to hear about ideas. I'm a good listener, so you have an idea, book a call with me. And I love to talk about this stuff. So I'm a little bit of a changemaker nerd, I guess you could say. Okay, so we've gone through all this stuff. So, and I hope you're getting value out of this webinar. But here, I want to address a challenge. So here's the real challenge. It's really hard to do this work on your own. And anybody who has started an organization or a business or anything, I mean, most of you probably know this. It's really hard to do things on your own. So I was talking to Catherine Chimoni from Global Goods Partners, which is a online retailer who works with women who make handcrafted products in countries all over the world. And she told me when I asked her, so what piece of advice do you have for people who are starting or who want to start their own thing? And her piece of advice was, don't try to do this on your own. Don't try to do it on your own. Once you figure out your impact, you'll want to bounce that idea and those ideas and that impact off people who know how to create lasting impact. And here's the thing. A confused mind says no and does nothing. Can you think of 3 questions you already have about starting a Changemaker initiative? Go ahead, write it down on a piece of paper, or if you want, share it in the chat box. Do you want a confused mind, or do you want to make a crazy amount of impact? Personally, I want you to make a crazy amount of impact. And choosing the wrong option and not knowing, not getting advice on how to move forward can cost you a lot of time and money. All right, now you've heard me say transformative change a couple times, and so I want to take a minute to talk about that. Who wants to make big, powerful change? Not a little change, not helping a couple of people, but changing the game. Sanjay Jha founded the Oakland Peace Center, whose mission is to create a peaceful and just Bay Area. And she and her many, many collaborators are changing Oakland's communities for the better. But here's the thing. She didn't do it she didn't do it alone. And she isn't doing it alone. She knew she couldn't do it on her own from the beginning. And so she built a community around her. And she kept pushing her idea forward in and outside her community. See, she researched what had been done in other cities, and she accepted help. And finally, she invested in her idea. So here's what I'm saying. To make transformative change, you need to get help. You need to show up and get out there and talk about your idea. You need to join a community of change makers. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Try to make the wheel better and invest in your idea. And listen, you can do this on your own, but most people won't, or they'll make costly mistakes along the way, either with their time or money. The easier way is to get help from a mentor, from a community, and get easy access to resources. This is from a client. She told me last year I incorporated a nonprofit with an idea, but no real plan. I find myself lost when trying to get this idea off the ground. As a solo practitioner, I have no one to bounce ideas off of. Give me a kick in the pants and ask questions that will help push this dream forward. Because right now, it's just something on paper. Do you think she's going to make change happen by sitting on her idea, not knowing how to get it off the ground? What is not having access to resources, a support system, and guide really costing you? Again, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I've seen this happen. People with awesome ideas for how to address a problem in the world, and it doesn't go anywhere. Do you think you might be able to make greater change if you have someone by your side guiding and encouraging you? Desiree Attaway, founder of Dear Sister. Desiree is propelling women of all definitions to find and use their unique voices and power. She started with simple Facebook posts to her community. 2 years later, she has 10,000 followers and probably more, actually. And she started with the impact she wanted to have on the world and just keeps moving forward. Dana Ruggiero, she founded the Climate Listening Project. And she started with a small idea to start conversations about climate change. And now she's winning international awards for her work. And actually, she's features in, I think it's Women's Day, this month's issue. Yeah, pretty sure it's Women's Day. I met Dana in the mastermind group, and she was there getting help to move her idea forward. And Kathy Keith had never run for office in her life. In November, she won election to the Ringwood, New Jersey Town Council as a Democrat. That's my town, by the way. And the council had been purely Republican for over a decade. And finally, Ava Cameron Romero. She's making a film to show people that gender violence in her home country of Paraguay is severe and it needs to end. She didn't know how to make a film when she started. She was an academic. But she used her knowledge of gender and partnered with a director and learned how to make a film. So we've covered a lot today, but let's face it, there is still a lot to cover. And here's the thing. I believe in you, and I know you can do this. I'm excited about the change that you can make in this world. I'm excited about the legacy that you'll create if you start today and make something happen. And I'm here to help you. If you got value out of this webinar today, let's talk. Book a call with me. It's free. And listen, I am not saying we are going to work together or not. But even if we don't decide to work together, I will still give you ideas and encouragement to move your idea forward, or even to simply find your issue and your big idea. So if you're at all curious about how you can take the next step, let's talk. Some of the people on this webinar who know me can attest that I've been doing this work for 20 years, and I create a lot of value for people who are trying to do good in this world. And I do it because I see and feel the poverty, the discrimination, the changing climate, and the potential for beauty in this world. And I've made it my mission to help you help others. All right. Of course, this isn't for everyone. Nothing is for everyone, right? And I get it. Maybe you're at a point in your life where you're just not ready to do this. And that, I totally understand that. But this is for you if you're serious about making change in your community and the world. If you're ready to help others in a way that fulfills you and helps you reach your life and career goals. It's for you if you're ready to invest in your idea and yourself and take action. And it's for you if you're committed to creating your legacy. And this isn't for you if you're happy only volunteering or giving money. And that's great. That's wonderful. We need you to do that. And anybody who has a nonprofit needs you to give money and volunteer. It's not for you if you aren't serious about turning your idea into action and impact. Maybe you're not at that point yet. And it's not for you if you like to work by yourself without a supportive community, because I am all about building a community of change makers, building a community that supports each other and doesn't compete with each other. They collaborate and they make change happen together and separately, but they give each other the support they need. And it's not for you if you really like working on your own and you like spending time and energy and money trying to find answers on your own. But if you're curious about how you can transform lives in a way that works for you in your own life, then book a free call with me. Here's how you do it. Just go to kirstenbunch.com/free call. That's it. You grab a call. You grab a spot on my calendar, and we'll have a open, fun conversation that has absolutely no commitment at all. That doesn't mean we're going to work together. It doesn't mean anything except for we're going to talk about you and your change making idea, or at the minimum, your desire to give back. All right. I don't want to forget about the bonuses. So don't forget to go over to my site and grab your free bonuses. This is how you do it. You'll get my issue mapper, which will help you figure out which issue you want to focus on if you haven't figured that out yet. My skill shifter mini course will show you how, or help you think about how you can use the skills that you have to give back, to make a difference, to create change. And then finally, 5 critical things to do before starting a nonprofit. Oh, by the way, I'll send you an email to remind you of these bonuses, but you can grab those now if you want at kirstenbunch.com/bonuses. Or sorry, /bonus. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've really, I love this stuff. I love inspiring people to get out there and make change in their communities. And I know it's hard work. But I just want to say, I know you can do it. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day, and let's go make some change. Take care. Bye.